G'day folks, Connor here from CW's Tech Reviews, back with another video, and today we're doing a 6 months later review on the Oppo A52. The Oppo A52 was released in April 2020 and was met with some pretty harsh criticism from some seasoned tech reviewers. I believe that price determines everything, but also it's nice to know your device is going to last a little while as well. With the display, we're looking at 450 nits of brightness, which is normally sufficient. Out there in the bright sunlight, it might struggle a little bit, but it's pretty sufficient for general use. And it also comes in at 405 pixels per inch across a 6.5 inch display. That's nothing to be scoffed at a price of 249 Aussie dollars. Like if you're in the US, that's about $3 to you guys. Over here in Australia, it's $249. It's really cheap. Top of the line iPhone costs about $2,500 here if you bought it outright. It is an LCD display and holds up well enough for most activities. And when I say activities, I mean gaming, watching content, doing a little bit of video, that sort of thing. It holds up fairly well. The display gets a pass, especially for that price. Now, it is definitely Gorilla Glass 3, so that's like 4 generations old now, but it still does the trick. It's nice and strong, and the back is plastic. Now, the back might look okay. That is disgusting. Now, the back looks pretty good to me, but when you touch it, you can certainly feel that we are talking plastic here. Plastic. Especially when you tap it, you can feel it pushing in. It's a very budget device, so you can't really complain about that. Moving into the software, we're looking at ColorOS 7.1. I don't mind ColorOS. I think it is a good software experience. It is very customizable, which is what most Android people are about. Gone are the days where ColorOS was just a rip-off of Apple. Today, you have a real ColorOS belongs to itself and definitely appeals more to the Android user. Very customizable. You can add some themes, you can change your icons, you can change your wallpaper, all that sort of thing. But probably the worst thing about the software is the lock screen magazine. Oh, that is horrendous. It's like watching a really bad movie. You just want to switch it off and forget about it. But other than that, the software I do enjoy. You can have gestures. It is fairly optimized and fast. ColorOS 7.1. Android 10, August 2020 security patch, and we're in October. So for a $249 device, I think you're winning. The performance of this device is budget performance because you've got a budget device. Snapdragon 665, Adreno 610, and 4 GB of RAM. Now I'm led to believe there is an 8 GB version somewhere out there in the wilderness, but here in Australia, we get the 4 GB version. And it does the job. This is a device that can do one task and do one task well. It's really not a multitasking device, but someone who's spending $250 on a phone doesn't really give a shit about multitasking. So it does what it needs to do and it does it well. For gaming, you really want to stick to the light version of games if you can. So like PUBG, low graphics settings, Asphalt 9, low graphics settings, and you'll be able to game on it. It's not going to be an issue. Cameras. What do you get for 250 smackaroos? You get a 12 megapixel rear facing camera with an 8 megapixel wide angle lens on the back as well, and then a 2 megapixel macro, and then a 2 megapixel depth sensor. And guess what? It takes photos and it takes videos, but it is budget. It is budget. But if you just want to take photos on your phone, you never really look at them again, or you might send them to someone on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, whatever. You're going to be fine with this. You know, I don't think the serious photographer is going to be spending $250 on a phone. This is the sort of phone that you're going to buy if you need to get yourself out of trouble, or for someone who doesn't really care too much about the features of a phone. And if you do end up buying this, you're going to be able to take photos, you're going to be able to take videos, and you're going to be satisfied with what you have, as long as you're not trying to win any photography prizes. You should be okay. In low light, it just drastically falls apart quickly, but that's just what you got to put up with a $250 device. And I'd even say that's what you got to put up with even $800 devices these days. Low lighting is a real struggle for most phones, and this is no exception. That front-facing camera gets you out of trouble as well. It's nothing to write home about, but you can take a selfie with it. The shutter, this is one area where most phones do well. The shutter is pretty slow on this, and that takes away from the experience. I think if the shutter was faster, the overall impression of this camera would be better. But there's nothing worse than pressing that shutter button and it takes like half a second to take the photo, or even a quarter of a second. You can notice, compared to a phone where you press that button and the photo's taken. So consider that. But again, who's buying this, and does it really matter to that person? A couple of other noticeable specs for this phone. Again, price in mind. Headphone jack. And with devices whacking in headphone jacks, I don't have to chuck out my awesome old school headphones. Bluetooth 5.0, USB Type-C, and you can even shoot in 4K 30 frames per second. And the not so notable areas for this phone 6 months later, I would have to say the RAM management, it does struggle because it only has the 4 gigs of RAM, so it kicks out apps pretty quickly. Low light photography, and it only comes with 64 gigabytes of storage, but if you pay for cloud storage, that doesn't really matter either. But something to consider, and I think 128 would have taken the cake. So who is this phone for? It's for the oldie, the old dude or the old Sheila that doesn't really use their phone much. They just like to be able to take calls, send messages, maybe take the odd photo. Or for someone who just wants a cheap burner phone that they know it's going to get wrecked pretty quickly. They just need something to get them through. Or for the parent who just wants to get their young daughter or son a phone that's going to keep them within contact with them. I think this is a good option as well. I don't think this is for someone, if you're used to, say, having a Pixel phone or a Samsung or even an Apple phone, then this is going to be a big step down for you. But if you're not really that much into tech or fit into one of the other categories I just mentioned, then this phone will get you by. So yes, it still has a place in today's market. It has only been out for 6 months, which is a long time in the tech world, but not long enough. I don't think you can get rid of a phone like this that quickly. Hit me up if you've got any questions about this device. Comments down below, hit the like button, bell icon, all that crap, and I will catch you in the next video. Check it.